morning, class, and welcome back to the Nerd Academy Podcast. Hosted by our headmaster, Jared Bachman-Stubbs, you can find all of us here at the Nerd Academy Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on our website at www.thenerdacademypodcast.com. Our shows, the Nerd Academy Podcast, Knights of the Nerd Republic, and Campus Life are released weekly at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, wherever you listen to podcasts. And don't forget, check out our Patreon, where every donation helps to keep the lights on.
Good morning, class, and welcome back to the Nerd Academy Podcast. I am your host and headmaster, Jared Bachman-Stubbs. And I promise you, this is not the second time we are having to do this episode today, because I am a ninny and an idiot. On the show, on the show this week, we have Joel the Sentinel, bass and back.
Hey, wait a second. I stole it.
Listen, we are just a little bit superstitious around these parts about a can crack that's too good anymore.
Here's the thing. We have to determine if it's my... Oh, keep introducing people.
We also have Black Leader Travis Grossman.
We gotta figure out, man. The superstitious me is like, is it my can cracks specifically or can cracks in general? So this will be good. This will be good for science.
Yes, it's not only is it for science, it's for the culture. And the little giggle... It's for the culture. And the little giggle you heard was returning correspondent. He's been gone for a hot minute. We have Spence the Mando Simpson.
When Jared says I've been gone for a hot minute, that's literal. My internet cut out and then cut back in just in time for my intro. So, hi, it's me. It's been a long time since I've been on the comic book show, but... Yeah.
Well, hey, today, it's warranted.
It is, yeah, yes. And I'm very glad that I turned 21 2 days ago, because this is the sort of a situation that requires some assistance.
You're not kidding.
I know I'm going to need some assistance by the time we are done with this episode, my friend. And the reason why we have a lot to unpack this episode... Travis, I stole your joke the last time we did this, so I'm pitching this back to you.
There was big DC news this past week that rocked the internet. Everyone saw it, and it took the whole world by storm.
It's the big reason I'm on this episode.
Ruby Rose stepped down as Batwoman from the CW series after one season. No one really knows why. Probably she didn't like the scheduling or she had an injury. One of the two. Either way, she's out. There doesn't seem to be bad blood, and they're recasting her for season 2. And that's her only story.
Yep. There's nothing else to talk about. Yeah, I don't know what you could be referring to.
I've been so excited to come on this episode to talk specifically about Batwoman in the CW.
The show, even the one guy that watches the TV shows around here hasn't finished.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to do it.
Coming soon. They're coming on Netflix now because they're all wrapping up, so...
Yeah, that's all we had for you guys this week. There's no other major news.
Actually, you guys heard HBO Max is going to be a thing? I'm thinking about getting it, you know?
I mean...
Okay.
That's interesting. Travis, are they going to have anything, like, DC related on HBO Max, Travis?
Yeah, well, I heard, Big Bang Theory takes place in the DC universe, obviously. I heard they're going to have a Green Lantern story coming out on there, which I'm super invested. Oh, yeah, and the fucking Snyder cut!
If it's muffled, does it count for our PG-13 usage?
Well, here's the little rule that I like to abuse, is that if Levi's not here, we don't have to follow that rule strictly.
Yeah, we still try to.
We try to. We give it our best.
It is like today. Like, I would be drinking now if I wasn't already hungover. So.
Yeah.
Something about that. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, but I may have had a little too much last night.
You
What's
guys.
funny is I wasn't with you guys.
I'm
We're there
jealous
in
of you
spirit.
because I don't know how to get drunk with beer. I don't know how that works. I don't. That's a foreign
No,
concept
it's
to me.
not even that. It was like
Start with an empty stomach. That's how you do it.
right, exactly. That's what I did, and it wasn't that I got drunk. It was just that I had a lot over the entire evening.
Okay,
Just, and my body was not used to that. It's been a while.
that's fair. So yeah, this past Wednesday, after much hubbub in the industry and in the movie news reporting atmosphere, there was a huge birth of rumors that this past Wednesday, Zack Snyder, during his Man of Steel watch along party, that during that there would be official confirmation of the release of the Snyder Cut on HBO Max. And we all kind of went, oh, ha ha ha. Odds of this happening are slim to none, as all the odds on the Snyder Cut have been slim to none. And then Tuesday rolled around. And then more and more people started reporting on it. And more people were like, hey, actually, this might be legit this time. And then Wednesday rolled around, and Twitter caught on fire. Because they announced the official release of the Snyder Cut. And we're going to go back through. Spencer, initial thoughts before we get into the weeds here.
My initial thoughts were honestly, I'm going to have to steal them from Travis because I could not have said it better myself. He tweeted this out and then I retweeted it, one of the very few times that I've done so. But he said, I have no words, only muffled screams and not enough booze. Hashtag release the Snyder Cut. And I smashed that retweet button because honestly, I could not have said it better myself. Jared texted me in all caps and I went on Twitter to see if it was true. And I saw Travis's tweet and I was like, this man understands. Thank you.
Travis Grossman, you are the voice of a generation.
I try.
Joel, your initial thoughts on just hearing the news. Where were you when the Snyder Cut was released?
I'm not gonna lie. The first time I heard about it was with the shameless plug of our article that's on our website. You should go check it out if you haven't read it. Jared wrote it. It's a really good take on the goings on in the community right now with toxic fandom and stuff like that. So go check that out.
Thank you.
But yeah, that's exactly how I feel. Is just I think it's unbelievable and just I don't think it's okay. The whole pressuring a director, an artist of some kind into doing something to appease the public, and I just don't. I'm not happy about it personally.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in. Like I said before, and I will continue to say, the harassment of the studio, regardless of whether or not they have done a good job with handling these properties, doesn't mean you get to harass them. I do take personal issue with Zack Snyder for stoking the fires in the ways that he has all this time, and is kind of, without saying as many words, embraced the Snyder cult and has given them the credence to do this, and has not done a whole lot to disavow the people who have handled this in a very aggressive and toxic way. And that's not to say that all of the people who were involved in the movement were the sociopaths who, Disney was behind all this. Disney had something to do with this, harassing every single Warner Brothers employee. Every time Warner Brothers would tweet about Aquaman or Birds of Prey coming out, the barrage of hashtag release the Snyder Cut. There are people who didn't behave that way. There are people who would express their very wholesome admiration for Snyder's DC movies and wanted to see his version of Justice League come to fruition. And to those of you individuals who I loosely consider myself to be a part of, even though I do have a lot of gripes with his vision, I do find myself enjoying BVS and enjoying Man of Steel in a very specific way. I'm not super into those movies, but the things that I am super into, I'm super into. congratulations to those people. To the people who have been conspiracy theorists screaming into Twitter for the last 3 years, good for you, asshole. And that's what I have to say about that. Travis, aside from your muffled screams,
my muffled screams and my not enough drinking, which last night begs to differ. But beyond just the shock, right? My initial reaction, if I've said it once, I've said it twice, is how organized this has all been.
Yeah.
Just that, Snyder says this in a live stream with Henry Cavill, and in that showed one of the posters. And the flood from all the official, HBO Max's official account, Warner Brothers, DC, all the main actors from Justice League, all tweeting out, hey, the Snyder Cut is real, it's happening, it's coming to HBO Max in 2021. Just floored me at how, as notorious as Warner Brothers and DC have been with not communicating properly, how correct this move was.
Yeah.
Like, objectively, like how correctly they communicated it was just so weird to me.
Yeah, they went all in, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they recognized how muddy the messaging about the Snyder Cut already was, and just the fact that, like, every couple weeks there was a rumor that it was going to be announced any day now. In the lost recording, I said that the Snyder Cut movement kind of had tinges of being the comic book version of QAnon, and I stand by that comparison. That, like, every day, something would happen and then it wouldn't happen, but it was all a part of the plan that we kept moving the date back. But all of that said, we're going to read verbatim from the Warner Brothers press release that day. Just get the words straight from the water tower's mouth, as it were. After global passionate fan calls to action, the hashtag Release the Snyder Cut movement, HBO Max and Warner Brothers Pictures are announced today that it will exclusively world premiere Zack Snyder's director's cut of the Warner Brothers Pictures DC feature film Justice League. Snyder surprised fans with the news this morning during a live commentary of his film Man of Steel with Henry Cavill. Hashtag Release the Snyder Cut first became a passionate rallying cry on social media among fans in 2017 and has not let up since. From countless press articles and hundreds of thousands of social media mentions, it became a powerful global movement among cinephiles and comic book movie fans. I want to thank HBO Max and Warner Brothers for this brave gesture of supporting artists and allowing their true visions to be realized. Also, a special thank you to all those involved in the Snyder Cut movement for making this a reality, said Zack Snyder. Since I got there 14 months ago, the chant to hashtag Release the Snyder Cut has been a daily drumbeat in our offices and inboxes. Well, the fans have asked, and we are thrilled to finally deliver. At the end of the day, it really is all about them, and we are beyond excited to be able to release Zack's ultimate vision for this film in 2021. This could never have happened if it weren't for the hard work and combined effort of the teams at HBO Max and Warner Brothers Pictures, said Robert Greenblatt, chairman of Direct-to-Consumer Entertainment. When Zack and Debbie shared the extraordinary vision of where Zack wanted to take their Justice League, my team and our counterparts at Warner Brothers took it as a mission to solve the many issues that stood in the way. It's Kevin Riley, content officer. Thanks to the partnership at Warner Brothers and the relentless pursuit of the entire Warner Max team, we are able to deliver this incredibly exciting moment for Zack and the fans and HBO Max. Thanks to the efforts of a lot of people, we're excited to bring fans this highly anticipated version of Justice League, said Toby Emmerich, chairman of Warner Brothers Pictures Group. This feels like the right time to share Zack's story, and HBO Max is the perfect platform for it. We're glad the creative planets aligned, allowing us to hashtag Release the Snyder Cut. So that was the official statements from Warner Brothers. Again, I really don't like the way that they are pretending that this movement was not slightly terrifying and cult-like. We've made countless jokes on this podcast and our old show that about the bus ads and the bus stop ads and the plane and the pamphlets at San Diego. And, it's really hard to digest all of it. Again, we've talked about the Snyder Cut as almost this kind of like Sasquatch, like it's never been real, but we all kind of made jokes
It's
about
One
it.
Piece.
What is it?
It's One Piece. So Levi isn't here, but the story of One Piece is that the king of the pirates hides his treasure in the one place that he is the only person to have ever made it to. And as he's about to be executed, he shouts, "Hey, all my treasure is at the end of the Grand Line. Go find it." And everyone wants to be a pirate, right? Zack Snyder stepped down. Shut up, motorcycle. And everyone went, "Hey, there's a version of this movie that exists that's his. Let's go find it." And Twitter exploded.
Yeah.
And then Jason Momoa,
everyone wanted to be a pirate.
yes. And then Jason Momoa in One Piece, what happens is Whitebeard at one point in this like grand fight with the government, shouts into a camera so the whole world sees him, "I've seen One Piece. It's real. I know where it is." And then he dies, and it just shoots up all over again. That was Momoa on Instagram.
That is very apropos. And Levi will be proud to hear that analogy. But yeah, and one of the things that I think is very interesting is like, we know that the Snyder Cut is happening and it's coming and all those things, but we also now have this confirmation of the different minutia of the debate about it, because I think most people would agree that Warner Brothers clearly had what Zack Snyder had originally finished on hand.
If they didn't, he did.
If they didn't, he did. And it was not a matter, and at that point, it was not a matter of do they still have this footage? It was a question of how much of this footage is edited, scored, color corrected, visual effects, all of those things that happen in post. Now, there was a decent contingent of fans in the Snyder Cut movement who maintained the idea that what Warner Brothers was sitting on was a fully finished movie.
And they're dumb.
And they're dumb. Because now we know that Warner Brothers is about to shell out, hold on to your butts, $20 to $30 million to finish production on the Snyder Cut. There will be no reshoots, which Spencer, you hilariously called attention to in the last version of this show. I'm gonna let you say what you said.
I was wondering how this was supposed to happen, right? Like, they probably aren't going to call the cast back to do any reshoots. So is this like the version of it that ended up on the cutting room floor, or like where is the 20 or 30 million for this budget going? But then Travis mentioned about the visual effects. Travis?
Yeah. So like, just conceptually, right? Darkseid, as far as I'm aware, was supposed to be in this movie. We've seen rumors going for a while that there was an actor cast.
Snyder has outright said Darkseid is in Justice League.
Yeah. So just how much VFX goes into making Darkseid real alone. Then if we have to see him on Apocalypse. I don't remember if Apocalypse is actually in the movie or not. It's been a while.
Probably. But, yeah. Like, there has to be at least a little bit.
I mean in the theatrical cut.
Oh,
like in the cut we got.
Kinda, because Steppenwolf like cracks open a boom tube, and like the whole goal is to terraform Earth into Apocalypse. So like we get some apocalyptian like imagery and like a kind of thing going on Earth. So there is
Snyder really likes his terraforming, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's almost like he relies on that as a plot device.
Yeah, but just how much it's going to go into, doing that. Any scenes with Superman that weren't from the reshoots, putting a suit on him.
Yeah.
Especially if he's going to be in the black suit, right? any cut action scenes, right? There's just so many effects that haven't been done yet. Plus, Jared, you and I have talked about this off mic, I think, that all the union stuff that goes into that, if they had to reshoot anything.
Yeah.
Which is nuts.
Yeah. I think there's still going to be like huge payouts to the post-production team for this to be redistributed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot there that, is very inside baseball stuff that, like, we probably won't know the details on that until well after the release on HBO Max. But moving right along here, I do want to jump into this Hollywood Reporter article and kind of pick some stuff out here. So the conversations about releasing the Snyder Cut reportedly started in March of last year, and it was confirmed to Zack and Deborah Snyder that it would be happening November of last year. So
which
the warpath
lines up with some stuff.
It lines up with a lot of stuff. In particular, we know now that Warner Brothers has had the intentions of doing this for a while now. Which, like, if they only started talking to Zack and Deborah Snyder in March of last year, that means that their plans to do this predate this at least a year before they were like, okay, time to put boots on the ground. So, first of all, yes, everybody in the Snyder Cut movement, you were right. Put that out there. Okay, we're done now. Now, I'm going to make Spencer happy and say his favorite sentence to hear again, like he said in the Lost version of this show. We're going to put our tinfoil hats on for a second.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And we're going to... I want to know very, very, very badly how much, if at all, Warner Brothers had to do with the absolute shit show that was San Diego Comic-Con last year.
I will repeat what I said before.
Please.
I say this now, but I said last year that obviously the Snyder Cut isn't real. So obviously, in quotes, maybe if I say it like this, it'll be the truth. Warner Brothers didn't head the funds on the plane banner and the bus ads and the fucking religious pamphlets, but someone somewhere from a Warner Brothers studio warehouse somewhere probably let it slip in that way that it does in California, that there were talks about maybe actually getting a Snyder Cut of the movie.
Yeah.
And Warner Brothers probably saw, like, word travels from person A to person B to person C, and suddenly there's a GoFundMe. And Warner Brothers saw that and went, oh, we can make that work. Oh, we could do that. I like my idea better of some dumb intern at Warner Brothers bought the plane banner and bus ads with Warner Brothers money, and they wanted to make it a tax write-off, so to do it, they made the Snyder Cut real.
And as we said before, if at any point we find out that Warner Brothers out of pocket in any way paid for any of the Snyder propaganda at San Diego last year, Travis and I plan to get tramp stamp tattoos in the Justice League font that read #release the Snyder Cut. And I stand by that. I hereby declare. And Spencer's going to get his sole of his foot mobster enforcer tattoo of it.
Yes. For the express purpose that, for whatever reason, my computer is about to light on fire. I have it plugged in. Anyway, train of thought. I'm thinking I'm going to get my Release the Snyder Cut tattoo on the bottom of my foot, like a mob enforcer or like some secret gang member, so that It is only visible after I have passed away, and they lay me down on a slab in the morgue and cover me up with a sheet, everything except my feet. And then you will see next to the tag hanging around my toe that identified my corpse, you will also see in big bold letters going from one foot to the other, hashtag release the Snyder Cut.
Exactly where it belongs. And I really do. I want to really talk about like the impacts on nerd culture and fandom culture with this whole ordeal. It's ironic that on the day we're recording this, it is Memorial Day as well, obviously, Monday the 25th. It's also the anniversary of, and I'm gonna say it right this time, Solo, a Star Wars story.
Solo story.
Not Star Wars: A Solo Story, as Spencer pointed out that I said in the lost recording. However, it is the second anniversary of Solo. Now, Solo: A Star Wars Story famously underperformed at the box office. There was not a whole lot of hype around it. At the time, Disney was also pushing Avengers Infinity War, Incredibles 2, Deadpool 2 had come out. So Solo, the Star Wars movie nobody asked for, but everybody pretty much unanimously liked for the most part, ended up falling flat on its face at the box office. Since then, there has been a grassroots movement to see a sequel to Solo come around, because Solo leaves off on a note early enough, far enough away from A New Hope to warrant telling more of this story, and has enough character in it to really, be worth it. Between Kira and Maul with Crimson Dawn, getting to see what that big job on Tatooine was that Han and Chewie were racing off to, getting to see more of childish Landino. Lots of stuff that people really liked and want to see more of. Hashtag Make Solo 2 Happen has been a movement since. And it has been gaining traction all the way up to the fact that the Resistance broadcast podcast, still got that right, had Juna Sutomo, the gentleman who plays Chewbacca, on their show today to talk about Solo. Like, this movement is big. There's merch, and yeah, there's still like the hashtag Make Solo 2 comments and official Disney and Star Wars posts. But at least for me, I've not seen anybody in that movement be lashing out at Disney employees, going out of their way to make the idea of a Solo sequel kind of this like inescapable inconvenience for the people who would make it.
For a brief aside, the people that want a Solo sequel aren't the people that are going to hound Disney like that, right? Because those people are the people that hate the fact that Disney owns Star Wars in the first place. Which
is fair.
I think that's
a good
part
point.
of it.
That's a good point, and that definitely is part of it.
Yeah.
And that segues into the reverse effect, where we have this grassroots movement of people who just are really jazzed about wanting to see a sequel to Solo. We have, groups like the Fandom Menace and the people who have all made a career out of complaining about The Last Jedi. And last year, we get The Rise of Skywalker, which is a mixed bag. It's a movie that there are parts that I love. There are parts that I can't stand, not unlike Batman v Superman. Ironically written by the same guy, go figure. And with The Rise of Skywalker, you have had now 2-3 years of fans screaming into the fans, put that in quotation marks, screaming into the internet in absolute rage about Rey's power level, about Rose Tico, about the treatment of Luke Skywalker and not liking Luke's arc and the way he's written and all of these things. People who are being incredibly spiteful and angry, and have again made a career out of it on the internet. Episode 9 comes out, and then all the memes that, again, all jokes aside, read like it was written and directed by Reddit. And it's all of these fan theories, and then we see what happens when these filmmakers in these studios bow and kowtow to the fan, to again, like the fans who are loud, this vocal minority of people who are losing their goddamn minds over the space wizards, that they then rework this entire movie to appease. And in the last version of this episode, Travis, you called attention to it with, like, you know, all of the
endings really cut up. Yeah. But like there's things missing, there's dialogue clearly missing. Theories about like, oh, in my viewing this scene had dialogue, and when I watched it on Disney Plus it didn't, or when I bought the Blu-ray it didn't. Or I heard from this person that they said this here but they didn't say it here, which, like, that's not how that works. You're lying. But that's okay.
Well, yeah, and you know, there's lots of rumors about, you know, the way the ending got, you know, edited and recut, and you know,
the ending's a mess and got recut 80 different ways. Only one of those ways hit theaters.
Yeah.
But, you know.
And, you know, you have the speculation that, you know, like the most recent version of those rumors I saw was that, you know, the image of like Ben Solo collapsing after he heals Rey is reversed footage of him sitting up. You know, and that there's and that wouldn't be the first time that happened. They even did that in trailers to The Last Jedi. Like that scene whenever Rey like holds up her lightsaber to try to intimidate Luke. In the trailer, it's her putting it down. So like this isn't like new territory, and I don't want to get into like the speculation on what exactly was changed with the Rise of Skywalker, but like there's wrong show. But like there's so much that happened there that turned it into this massive clusterfuck of a movie. And that's what happens with this constant, like, okay, we're going to make the people who scream the loudest happy. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. And here it is setting a very scary precedent that we're just going to keep allowing this to happen. And Travis, if you want to talk about some of the other, like the Suicide Squad stuff, because you did last time, and I don't want to just regurgitate what you said.
Well, that's like this got confirmed, and suddenly, you know, we have people talking about a new cut of Rogue One because it had director's problems, a new cut of Solo, a new cut of Suicide Squad. You know, all these movies that have had director issues, and people leaving. That was weird. That, you know, the answer is no, we won't, because they haven't had the pushback like this.
Yeah.
Because usually with this stuff, everything's so closed door and we don't have as much information as we did for Justice League. You know?
Yeah.
Like, you know, the person that was originally directing Rogue One didn't direct two other movies in a series in Star Wars that led into Rogue One, and then halfway through Rogue One had a family tragedy. You know, it's such a weird line of events.
Yeah. That
leads to, hey, we want to see this movie the way that the person that started it was supposed to have it.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't think movements like this will exist again. Like you said, we see, not that it's nearly the same, but make Solo 2 happen. The parallels are there. I don't think we see a studio do what Warner Brothers is doing here for a while, unless we get another crazy scenario like this. And to be fair, this is genius on Warner Brothers' part.
Absolutely.
Think of how many fucking people are gonna, like, again, like we talked about this before, people getting Disney Plus for Mando and Clone Wars Season 7, even if they get it for the free week, watch it and cut it. They downloaded the app. They boosted Disney's numbers, and that's all that matters. So, like, how many people are going to download HBO Max, watch the Snyder Cut, because it's the Snyder Cut, and then cut, like, what are the numbers going to be on HBO Max that boost it up like that? You know? It's going to be insane. And again, this is the one thing in the DCEU they've been concise on. Look at Birds of Prey, right? It has 4 different titles. I don't remember if it changed release dates at some point. It might have. I don't remember.
There may have been a delay early on, but like nothing that's like outside of like
all the way. You know, we've talked about before how it was 4 different scripts mashed together.
Yeah.
and you get like we had a fun time watching it, but you can still feel that when you watch the movie.
Yeah.
They focused it way better than Suicide Squad. Like, it's actually watchable, but it's actually enjoyable. Who would have knew? But how muffled and weird that marketing was compared to Zack Snyder and Henry Cavill say the Snyder Cut is coming, followed by just my Twitter timeline being nothing but posters from official accounts.
Yeah. Like, the only person who's not publicly talking about it is the one person who I don't even think has social media and is the one who's currently caught up in a massive controversy.
Exactly. And like what I was doing before, Jared, you saw me scrolling on my phone a bunch.
Yeah.
I was trying to find that original Momoa post where he's giving the camera to Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
That we talked about before.
Yeah.
That was in August of last year. Let's put on the tinfoil hat again. Him and Snyder are hanging out. They probably bonded on set, right?
Yeah.
Momoa's a likable guy. Snyder seems pretty like a pretty cool dude. They meet up in August to hang out. He has this gift for him, and Snyder passingly mentions, "Hey, they've been talking about letting me make the Snyder Cut, like the Snyder Cut. Isn't that shit wild?" And he was like, "Hey, want me to help you make that happen?" And he makes an Instagram post that goes viral. And it's their way of pushing to Warner Brothers, like, hey, you should really do this. Look at all the reception this got.
Yeah.
Right?
You're right. You're absolutely right. It is a very unprecedented thing. And like, you know, I wonder, like, I really, really wonder. And I think the only other like comparable thing we can look at right now is Make Solo 2 happen. Like, I want to see what happens with Make Solo 2. Because I've seen
the other thing going forward. Yeah, I just thought of this. Because we mentioned it in the Lost Cut. The 7 p.m. cut is what we're going to call it.
Hashtag release the 7 p.m. cut.
PM cut. This concept of now with coronavirus, how we're seeing feature films be pushed straight to Netflix or straight to VOD, and it's doing well, right? Like, Scoob is doing well despite not being in theaters because it's a kids movie.
Same with Trolls.
Trolls did well going straight to VOD. I keep forgetting the name of it, but that new Kumail Nanjiani movie that just got pushed to Netflix. Lovebirds, that's what it's called. Thank you. Everyone's loving it. It's getting good reviews. Everyone's saying that, like, we wish we could have seen this in theaters, but at least we get to see it, right? This is working. And with the Snyder Cut, rumor has it this movie's going to be 4 hours and change long.
Yeah, and at the very least, double Justice League's runtime.
And you look back at everything that happened in the Snyder era of DC movies, where BVS is so cut down in its theatrical cut that it's practically unwatchable. Justice League, even if it had been, completely directed by Snyder, would have been cut down to the bare bones, unless it was several movies.
Yeah.
Do you think, kind of a broader discussion for a second, do you think movies like the Justice League and people like Zack Snyder are going to start pushing to have their films pushed straight to VOD because that is more likely to see success with longer films? Because when you look at something like Endgame, right, that pushes it's just over 3 hours, all the hubbub that news articles had where, I don't know, people are kind of skeptical that people want to stay in the theater for 3 hours, and, granted, that is still something that I know people didn't go see the movie for.
Yeah, well,
despite it being the most profitable, not most profitable, but the highest grossing movie of all time.
Yeah.
So how much more likely is someone to watch Zack Snyder's Justice League that's 4.5 hours long if they can do it in their own home at their own pace? Right?
Me personally, I saw a lot of people online talking about how they wanted Endgame to be 3 hours.
I think at that point, though, that had that build up, and we were we were prepared as fans to sit in a movie theater for 3 hours to get the full experience.
Yeah.
Imagine if when Justice League was in its coming out phase, right? like the news article hits in 20 whatever it was when did Justice League come out?
2017.
2018? 2017. Okay. That's all a blur for me. It's May of 2017 maybe, and a news article hits that says Justice League will be 4.5 hours long in the theater. How many people immediately don't go to see that because it's 4.5 hours long?
I have a hot take. I want to let Spencer and Joel weigh in on that first.
I mean, me personally, for a story like Justice League, the precedent like the comic book movie is like 2 hours, 2.25, and like that's a decent amount of time to put in a good action sequence and have it be worthwhile without overdoing. And like Endgame is the kind of movie where so much goes on that's crucial that you don't really notice that the 3 hour time has passed. And like if you can create a cut that's 4 hours long that feels like Endgame in the sense that you really can't afford to take a pee break, you have to just like pause because you're going to miss something important. Like I have a hard time believing the story that we saw in theaters for Justice League the first time around has a version of it where I don't feel comfortable taking any 60-second break from it. And like I guess you wouldn't really know if that's the case until after you buy the ticket and go see it. What the heck? I mean, if yes, I would go see it, but like probably I would rather wait until it.
Oh yeah, I don't
came to VOD or like to home video or even a streaming service.
Yeah, I guess I should clarify. Like obviously we would have gone and seen it, right?
Oh yeah. But the average Joe would not have.
Yeah, it's like, oh, they're making a Justice League live action movie. Oh, it's 4 hours. Bro, I got dinner. I got places to be. I can't be in the theater for 4 hours.
Yeah, like even if you caught a matinee, you're still gonna miss dinner. And if you go for like an 8 o'clock showing, you're gonna be driving back, at 12:30 o'clock.
Yeah, they couldn't hold 8 o'clock showings, right? You'd be in the theater too long. They have to lock up the doors eventually.
Yeah.
So that's my point. Is that like you are confined to. That's another thing, is with something like Infinity War, they were having problems with cycling through viewing rooms, right? Making sure they had a viewing room lined up at all times.
That was only 2.5 hours long.
What did I say?
You said Infinity War.
I meant Endgame.
Still, that is, it's still a Herculean effort.
But like with a movie that long, you have to worry about like, can we fit enough showings to make this it's going to be profitable, but like as profitable as it could be. Whereas if it's a VOD or if it's on HBO Max or whatever, it's just the streaming numbers go insane and suddenly you get investor funding like crazy,
Okay.
Yeah. And Joel, I got to ask you, like, where would you have been on that? Like, would you have been going into the theater excited to see the 4 hour long sequel to Batman v Superman? Like, was that something you would have gone in like giddy for?
So this is coming from a person who absolutely adores Lord of the Rings and will only watch it if it's the extended edition. So the thing there is
you're talking about good movies there, buddy.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what I'm getting at. Is like when it really comes down to it, no, straight up.
I love that answer because you're right.
When it comes down to it. No.
And again, that's coming from someone who loves, one, loves a good film, and two, loves to sit down in his own couch, key there, in his own home, also a key there, and watch a movie marathon of Lord of the Rings extended edition as long as he can stay awake. One, it's an amazing movie and it's a tried and true movie. But I would never have gone to the theater to watch more than one Lord of the Rings movie, let alone the full extended cut of Lord of the Rings movie. It's just too long. And one, sitting in one place for that long, and like I think it was Spencer that said, or someone says, like, I gotta pee at some point. And if it's something I haven't seen, you know how hard it is to escape use the restroom and get back without missing something important. Like there was an app, it's called the Run P app. I don't know if it still exists, but if it does, like it was really good. And any new release in the theater, it would buzz you. Like you would start it, you would hit go right when like a certain logo, it'll tell you on the app, it'll be like when the Lucasfilm logo shows up, hit go. And then it'll buzz you, a little small vibration in your pocket whenever it's the best time to use the restroom. Because someone went to the movie and said, okay, the least important things happen here.
The Justice League starts and that app just buzzes, and then you leave the theater and never come back. But yeah, that's my point, Joel. And you're absolutely right. I totally agree with you. Where like I think what this is going to do is push filmmakers who want to make these very long, drawn out's the wrong word, but like these long, complex stories.
Go to theater.
Yeah, just get funded by Netflix, right?
Right.
Get funded by HBO Max or Warner Brothers, whoever, to like have your movie be pushed to a streaming service where people are going to be more comfortable to watch your film in their own home, where they can pause it at will. They don't have to worry about the theater. You know, not that I'm necessarily pushing for this.
No,
but
no,
I think,
and there was a news segment on the other day about, and all I could think about was our conversation about it, about like what the future of the film industry is going to be. And so many of the people that commented on it were like immediately went to, like, I get it for some things, but when it really comes down to it, the experience of going to the movies and interacting, like in that, it's almost a social setting. Like the live reaction of people in that environment will never die out. And there'll always be a new evolution of it in some way.
There's so much that like the reception of a movie is drawing on from a crowd. Like imagine watching Endgame for the first time not in a packed theater on opening night.
Right.
Imagine how different that experience is.
Completely different, and I wouldn't have been happy about it.
Yeah. So that's something that would have to be adjusted to, and that's something that I don't.
I have a hot take on this, and I know I wouldn't be alone because I you know, most people don't have an original thought. I think that there would be a lot of people who, when they go, okay, Zack Snyder's putting out his newest superhero movie, and it is this 4-hour, what he is considering his opus of Justice League. And again, it's 4 hours coming to theaters near you in November. I think there's a lot of people who would look at that like a fucking party trick. Almost like a stunt. Like, I think there would be people who, like, I think there are people who would watch that movie like it's Tiger King, who would go into it ready for nothing but garbage, who are going into it just to sit there and go, oh my God, the ambition on this idiot to make this insanity 4 hours long. Are you shitting me?
I would agree with you if Batman v Superman hadn't, like, if that movie had been at all serviceable in the theatrical cut, I'd probably agree with you. But it was, like, that might be the only movie I've ever walked out of the theater and actively said out loud, I didn't like that. And that's saying something. I've seen some stinkers in theaters. But, like, I went to see Justice League just to keep my nerd card, which isn't necessary, right? But, like,
yeah,
I wanted to know, right? I was curious as someone who had seen it, but is also very invested in DC as a brand.
Uh-huh.
I think someone that walks out of Batman v Superman as a casual fan, or who even just heard about it and heard how much of a shit show it was, goes, I don't want to see him do that to all of these characters, right? Like, it's going to be 4 hours long and it's all going to be dead space and none of it's going to be good. I'm not going to pay for a movie ticket for that. Versus if it's already on I can start up my HBO Max. I was going to get it anyway, and it has this thing on there that it's kind of neat. Again, I think in a world where BVS is a serviceable theatrical movie.
Okay.
That's a different discussion.
So, a couple more points I want to hit on before we wrap up.
Sure.
With the rumors that they might Hateful Eight the Snyder Cut, do we want a 4-hour movie or do we want like a 6-part miniseries? Or like a 4-part miniseries? Because I want the movie. I want the movie. I want to see like Zack Snyder's original vision is me with my ass in a seat for 4 hours with popcorn and an icy.
Yeah, I want the option for both. Right.
Okay.
I think people deserve that. Kind of like Hateful Eight. You can watch it in one shot, or Irishman does the same thing. You can watch it in one shot, or you can watch it in episodes.
I didn't know the Irishman did it like that.
I'm pretty sure they did.
I wish I knew that. I wish I knew that. I don't think they did because I watched that whole movie and was like, this is long.
I want to say they either did or in everyone's review they were like, they should have done what Hateful Eight did. You know?
You might be on to something.
I didn't watch Irishman, so I don't know. But I think people deserve that. But also, I'm with you. I'd rather just watch the whole movie, right? Because the first time I watch it, especially, it's going to be, you know, at least with you, Jared, getting drunk because we're going to need it.
Absolutely. No, yeah, I agree with you though. And like, I'm not, yeah, again, like, I'm not like, I want to see the Snyder cut, but also I'm not buying any bus ads. But like at this point, we know it's coming. You know, you use the Justice League slogan, all in. I want it. I'm all in. Give me 4 hours and we will all pack in to this room. We'll put up the fucking projector.
Yeah.
You know,
for real.
Like I want to make an event of this. Like, you know what? This is not like, again, this shouldn't be happening. So I said earlier, this is this weird, unprecedented, and I stole another one of your jokes, Travis, and I'm sorry, but that whole like, where were you the day the Snyder cut was confirmed? That's what this is. Like, this is the nerd culture version of like when the world stopped turning. Spencer, what do you want? Do you want a miniseries or do you want to watch this thing in one 4-hour go?
Again, you cut out.
Oh, sorry. Are you in the camp of you want to see this released by chapter, or do you want the 4 to 4.5 hour movie? Like, again, you're ass in a seat with popcorn and a slushie.
I'm more inclined to say get it all out of the way in one go because, like, I'm not going to leave the theater in the middle of a movie. I've never done it before, probably never will. But, like, if I get a chapter or two into it and I'm like, nope, I can't do it, then, like, you know, I'd rather watch it, but episode by or like chapter by chapter, it's too tempting to just skip part of it.
That's fair.
Spencer with the least amount of trust in Zack Snyder on this podcast.
Oh, I never said I was going to like what I was about to watch.
We're getting there. Joel, what do you want to see? Do you want to see chapter by chapter, or are you, since it's in the comfort of your own home, are you ready for a 4-hour movie?
There's only one way that I'm watching it. If watching it at all, it's one sitting, and two, definitely not in a theater.
Okay, so we're pretty much all in consensus that we want to see
just the 4.5 hours straight.
Not dedicating more of my life, and I'm not dedicating more of my money either. You know?
Yeah, no, that's fair. If
I don't like it, I'm walking out.
We're gonna make sure this is a full team review for the Snyder Cut. The gang is all here. Now, this is kind of like a speculation one. What happens if it's bad?
We all get to very, very loudly say "I told you so" into Twitter.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Because like I said it in the Lost Cut, say it in here. I think this movie will be serviceable in the way the Ultimate Cut was serviceable for Batman v Superman, where I'm not going to like the story anymore, but at least it'll make some kind of coherent sense. You know? I walked out of BVS, and I think I've said it into the microphone before, going, why did everyone think Superman shot 8 people? Why why does he hate Batman for no reason? Like, I get he's being a little aggressive with the branding thing, but that's it. He's still fighting crime. Like, what's the big deal? Half the story's missing out of the movie.
Yeah.
And Justice League suffers from that, and the fact that like with the reshoots and the readjust of scenes, it just doesn't make coherent sense, right? Scenes switch from night to day in literal minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And at the very least, we'll be able to make sense of all of that.
Okay, now Travis, I have to ask you a legitimate question that like there is an asshole answer to this that I would not be surprised if you go with it. Do you want the Snyder cut to be good?
I'm gonna say yes.
Like I feel like deep down, and like maybe I'm just a monster, but like
That you want it to be a trash fire.
There's a part of me that's like, I want, after everything that has happened, for this to be Catwoman, Daredevil bad.
I think. Do you want what I want or what I think will happen?
Both. And I want Spencer, Joel, and myself can all get in on this too.
I want it to be. I don't know. I either want it to be really good or really bad. I can't decide which. I think I want it to be good. I want Zach to get his real shot at this, right? As an art, again, I respect the hustle. I don't particularly like his filmmaking, but I respect the hustle. I want him to have his real shot. I want it to look good. I want it to be good. I know I'm gonna fucking hate it. I'm gonna hate every minute of it. They're gonna cut my favorite lines. I hated the tone of BVS. I dealt with it in Man of Steel. I'm going to fucking despise it in whatever Snyder's Justice League is. I can already tell. And, no amount of bravado from Zack Snyder or, hurrah from the main cast, as awesome as that is to see, will make me enjoy it anymore.
All right. Spencer?
Okay. So I really want it to be bad for the sole purpose of we do not want to, I personally do not want to validate or encourage the sort of people that think if their voice is the one that's the loudest, it's the one that's going to get listened to. And
or that it's right.
Yes, exactly. And as much as I think I would want to I'd want to have a conversation with Zack Snyder first. And I'd want to know, from the horse's mouth, how deviant the theatrical release was from his original vision and what the story he wanted to tell, and how different his cut would be. Because if it's just a Justice League that's twice as long, but it says the same thing and it has the same mood and all this, if it's the same movie just twice as long, no thanks. That's not worth the money or the time for me. And if he has a version of the story that has more development, different outcomes, maybe different angles, different directions that he wants to take it creatively or cinematically, whatever. Go for it. I'd love to see his vision succeed if it is something different than the one that we already got. Because if it is, then it's just a validation, an encouragement of the toxic fandom, like Travis said, the loudest voice is the right voice. We don't want to encourage that kind of fan behavior. And I think this movie is going to set the precedent for that moving forward. If the fandom is loud enough, are they able to stifle creativity just by being angry or by being, just loud, So that's my take.
Okay. I like that. Joel?
Got nothing.
Nothing on this one?
Nope.
For me, there's a lot of credence to what you just said about Travis and Spencer. And I agree that I don't want to see the wrong people take the wrong lesson away from this. And I there's a part of me who enjoys dunking on the bad parts of these movies. It's like, yes, give me 4 hours of that content. But also, I want to see Zach take his shot. Like, I really want to see him swing for the fences and see what his version of swinging for the fences really is. Spencer, to kind of answer some of your questions, yes, from what he has said online, the Joss Whedon Justice League, which I like a lot, and the Snyder Cut are very different movies.
Right.
You know, like between, you know, Darkseid being in the movie, to what extent we don't know. You know, Superman's resurrection, like actually being more akin to the comics is what he's implied with like the black and silver suit and all of this stuff. Like, this is a different movie, according to him. And one of the things that I think with the Snyder Cut conversation that I don't think it's talked about enough is the fact that, yes, he finished production, like principal photography, for the most part, whenever tragedy struck right before the reshoots. And I think Warner Brothers was able to look at that movie that he made and look at the track record of Man of Steel being very controversial. Look at Batman v Superman being widely just absolutely shit on. And go, what if we got the Avengers guy to do it?
And Jared, you and I both have said the parts that are very obviously Whedon are the parts that are our favorites.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I hate to see, even if it's a filmmaker like Zack Snyder, who I have so many mixed opinions about, who I like to, you know, take pot shots at because of his style of filmmaking. I hate to see somebody's vision get taken away from them. And that is why I really do want to see what happens when they swing for the fences with this. And I really want to see him go hard with it. That said, if it's bad, if this blows up in everybody's face, I am really curious as to what happens with the movement. Like, I don't know if it will be, well, we were wrong and now we're going to harass Zack Snyder and completely turn heel on him.
Does that energy dissipate or just turn on to Zack Snyder, basically?
Or do they galvanize again and it goes deeper and it's like Warner Brothers still won't release the real Snyder Cut. Like the goalpost will move back another 100 yards. And we're right back to where we started with bus ads and airplanes and pamphlets and shit. And that, you know, somehow Bob Iger got into Warner Brothers and stopped them from making the real Snyder Cut that has like the one scene that still isn't in the movie that makes it good. Like, there's a part of me that wonders if the Snyder, like the cultish version of the Snyder Cut movement, can even be happy now. You know, like, we've built this movie up for so long. We've talked all this game. We've talked a whole lot of shit. What's going to happen when the rubber hits the road and the same people who don't like Zack Snyder movies still tank the reviews, that still give it's still not fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, because the same people across the world who are like, and again, I agree with some of these points, I disagree with some of them, but the same people who are like, you know, it's too edgy, it's too dark, the slow-mo's gratuitous, the symbolism is ham-fisted, Martha's dumb, all the same complaints that we get for every single Zack Snyder comic book movie. The self-importance, the self-indulgence of those movies, does it end up killing it? You know, like, do we just, like, is it just another Zack Snyder release and it's just the same shit, different day, different release schedule? And that is my big want to see what happens from here. I really am looking forward to the marketing for this and want to see what goes down. I am so excited to see what comes next for this, and am excited to go further down this horrifying boom tube with all of you guys. With that, Spencer, where can the lovely people find you?
Thank you. You lovely people can find me on Instagram at SpenceMan Cosplay and on Twitter at SpenceMan49. Thank you.
And Joel, where can the lovely people find you, old friend?
The people can find me on my new Twitter account, Jay the Sentinel, and Jay spelled Jay, which it didn't occur to me until recently that the confusion that could cause. But anyways, you could also find my Instagram, Bass and Bacon Cosplay.
Hell yeah. Travi, where can the lovely people find you, friend?
Hey, all you people, follow me on Twitter at Travis Political. It's also my Instagram. I tried, it didn't work. Twitter, Instagram at Travis Political, where I'm complaining about not having enough booze to watch the Snyder Cut.
I have to interrupt this outro for 2 seconds. When I was speaking to Liv, Spencer knows this, when I mentioned your name, I can't remember what story I was telling about, but I said Travis, and she was like, Travis Political? Sorry, I just had to.
That's weird.
It was very funny. It was surreal, but I was like, yeah.
Yeah, they're just like, she only knows me as this.
Yeah.
She's not experienced the depths, the complex human experience that is Travis Grossman.
She's been spared.
Jared, where can the lovely people find you?
The lovely people can find me on Twitter and Instagram at DarkJedi2552. And you can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and on our website, www.thenerdacademypodcast.com. And while you're on that website, you, if you're feeling generous, can chuck in a couple bucks. Hell, maybe you could even throw in enough money to help us produce our own version of the Snyder Cut. Who knows? We could use $20 to $30 million. That'd be nice.
It's not that much.
It's not that much, guys. Don't be greedy. Come on. Don't be stingy.
Our new section on the website where we have our campus newsletter. You can subscribe to the campus newsletter and receive email notifications whenever we upload an article that is written by one of us or someone who submits. You can submit an article on our website as well.
Yes, and as Travis said earlier, barring any other huge breaking news, if a story is big enough to cover, we'll probably touch on it briefly. Ideally, next week, we are going to be doing a review and recap of Avatar: The Last Airbender. The
M. Night Shyamalan movie, right?
Yes. We're going to be reviewing the M. Night Shyamalan movie. Very excited for that. No, sweet God, no. I'm not touching that one with a 10-foot pole. Can't pay me enough. But yeah, no, with Avatar on Netflix, as all of you probably know, I'm getting to basically watch it for the first time. I watched it here and there when I was little and didn't really retain a lot of it. This is Travis's first watch, and then pretty much a rewatch for everybody else on the team to varying degrees. I know Levi has seen it several times. Lexi rewatched it before, like this year, before it was even back on Netflix. So there's lots of different perspectives coming into this. Very excited to cover it. And I'm finishing the show tonight, actually. Well, yesterday, by the time you hear this. With that, thank you all for listening. And class dismissed. And your homework is to watch Avatar: The Last Airbender.